All right, guys, I'm back. This week, it is my turn to pick something for Mike to watch. Last week, he made me watch Kotaro Lives Alone on Netflix, which is the story of a young serial killer learning how to get by in Japan. He's 4 years old and shenanigans ensues. So, since I do have a pick for Mike that I really wanted to make him watch, I'm going to turn the tables on him a little bit when it comes to this little series that we have going here. But I haven't watched enough of it to be able to figure out if that's exactly what I want to do. So, on the other hand, I was browsing through Netflix since we're doing our cult classics month on our main podcast show. Uh, I decided I was going to go with a John Carpenter cult classic because we'll be talking about John Carpenter this week. And this one is vampires. I don't know if you already knew that by the serious James Woods right here, but it's from 1998. It's John Carpenter's last #1 movie. It was #1 at the box office in 1998. I don't know what else is there, but apparently everybody wanted to see John Carpenter do a vampire movie. So here's the little premise of it. James Woods here. He's a vampire slayer, kind of like Buffy. He and his buddy Daniel Baldwin are in this as well. Daniel Baldwin's like his right-hand man, Tony Montoya, not Tony Montana, Tony Montoya. So James here, he's a vampire slayer. Parents were killed by vampires. He was trained by the Catholic Church at the Vatican to slay vampires. You know, that old tale. And the reason that the Vatican decides to do this is because they accidentally created the first vampire with like a botched exorcism. There was a partial exorcism that killed the body but left the soul, like left the vampire. It's a very convoluted explanation, but it's pretty funny just to think that during an exorcism at some point 600 years ago, the Catholic Church is like, oops, we messed up, sorry, we got vampires now, our bad. You know, if as if that, hopefully that would have been great if that was the worst the Catholic Church ever unleashed on the world, but instead they created as a stopgap and as a way to fix their wrong, they created James Woods vampire slayer. So that's what he does. He gets a crew together and he kills vampires. Daniel Baldwin in this, like I said, is doing his best Alec Baldwin impression. If you close your eyes or you squint real good, you can really say that this is probably just Alec with a couple extra pounds on him, you know. But then there's a young woman in this movie who you would probably know from her much more famous role as Laura Palmer in Twin Peaks. We're talking about Cheryl Lee. This is one of her, I guess, more well-known roles outside of being Laura Palmer, which was the most famous corpse in the 90s, and briefly again in like 2015 or something like that. I forget when the reboot came back or the return came back. But she's in it. She plays a prostitute who slowly becomes a vampire as well. And they use her as like this little telekinetic link to the big bad vampire, this guy Valak, who was the first vampire again that the Catholic Church created. So they're using her as kind of like binoculars to see across the lands to find this guy and find out what he's doing. It's a very weird movie. It's got great practical effects because it's Carpenter. Of course, everything's going to look amazing. The soundtrack's like this really synthy, kind of cool soundtrack. Again, it's all got some Carpenter hallmarks in it, but this movie's just, it's not one of his best. It's one of those movies where you're done watching, you go, okay. And since I was not prepared to turn the tables on Mike, like I said, I am instead giving him John Carpenter's Vampires because it's one of those things where it's like, that was kind of fun. And maybe I think he'll have some decent thoughts about it because there is some really fun stuff that happens towards the beginning. It kind of slows down and gets a little weird towards the end, but the beginning is a very great, what is happening here? What am I watching? Kind of intro to a movie. So hopefully Mike will see it as the fun that I saw it. And it's, if you guys want to watch it too, it's free on Netflix right now. So go ahead and watch it. Mike's going to watch it. And he's going to talk about it. We're going to get his reaction a little bit later. So that's what we're doing this week. John Carpenter's Vampires, 1998. And hope you guys enjoy what Mike has to say. So long.